I emailed him today to make sure that I got the wording, everything right. I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. Want to make sure we get the record straight. Oh, you're welcome. See what happens. You, sir.
Well, it's just things.
Mayor, the draft is right there for
See
you.
you in a while.
Thank you.
Oh, I haven't been to.
I'll leave it up there.
And so far, Tyga has not called me.
All right. Well, principal's office. She knows the place. She knows the number.
No good deed goes unpunished.
No. It's not 6 o'clock yet.
How are you, sir?
All right.
Table's off when? Oh, I think we can hold it down. I think we can hold it down.
Sorry.
Oh, we still got 2 minutes.
Still got 2 minutes. You're early.
I'm only allowed to give you a minute and a 30 second.
Thanks. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
Like I told the coach last night, get ball. I said, who's going to buy a foul? What foul? Young. Basketball. Oh, yeah. Over in a week. It's over in a week already.
I know.
And the playoffs
Basketball
start.
season's done. We'll call this meeting of the City Council to order. Please rise for the evocation, followed by the pledge of the flag. We're here tonight to discuss topics that will continue to move this city. Heavenly Father, please watch over us and grant us the wisdom to make this meeting productive. We also ask this evening to watch over our young ladies who just won the championship of the first AAU tournament under 14 girls volleyball team. May they continue to grow up to be productive members of our community. And also, we ask this evening that you watch over our new police officers who will come and thank their family for allowing them the time to protect our residents of our city of Easton. And also, we want to give credit and thanks to Barry Schaefer, who was a 36-year firefighter who recently retired today. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Ettinger?
Here.
Mr. Milian?
Here.
Mr. O'Connell?
Here.
Dr. Ruggles?
Here.
Mrs. Sultana? Mayor Panto?
Here. Approval of the agenda?
Move.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to move Bill 35, the consent agenda, and put on unfinished business, please.
Okay, we'll move that down to, Madam Clerk just looked at under unfinished business.
Okay.
Any other changes? I see our consent agenda is really long, and anybody else? Okay, roll call.
Okay, Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milian?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Aye. And we'll have the action on our minutes of our stated session on January 11th.
Move the minutes.
Second. Moved in second. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Milian?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
And Mr. Ettinger?
I abstain.
Okay, we'll now move on to the swearing in of the new police chief. Stand by.
Good evening, everybody. Thrilled to be in front of everybody again, swearing in some new officers again this evening to add to the department and to bring up our ranks. So like I do every time I come before you, especially in this capacity, I first and foremost want to thank everybody for your continued support of the department, City Council, Mr. Mayor, City Administration. Make no mistake about it, you all have been an essential part of the department's success over the years. I'd also like to thank community members, friends, and family who are here this evening to witness this very important event. Tonight, we're going to be swearing in our newest officers as they begin their journey in law enforcement with the City of Easton Police Department. And as we do that, I would ask Officer Cade McNally, Officer Tanner Shetler, Officer Kiana Villalobos, and Officer Justin Nemchek to please come forward. These officers have committed to protecting and serving the citizens of the City of Easton. It's not a commitment that we as a department or individuals take lightly. It must be done with honor and integrity. All of these officers that are standing before you this evening have done so and have sworn to protect the citizens, the visitors, and the residents of the City of Easton. They should be proud of what they have accomplished so far just in being selected to join the ranks of this department. The requirements and the duties of a police officer are ever changing, and very often it becomes a thankless job, but make no mistake about it, for the men and women who serve, it's a calling, not just a job. The profession requires selflessness, dedication, and devotion to fellow officers, the City of Easton, and the Easton Police Department. During the hiring process, these officers have demonstrated the desire to devote themselves to the safety of this community and to the citizens that they will tonight swear to defend. To their families of these officers, I want to thank you for all of the sacrifices that you have already made as they embark on their journey and the sacrifices that you will be asked to make as they continue in their careers. I'm grateful for their promised commitment to this department and to this community. I wish them nothing but the best for a long, fruitful, and safe career. Mr. Mayor.
And just want to say, joining, as I said to you before when I swore you unofficially, that you're joining one of the finest police departments in the region, so welcome all. So if you raise your right hand again and repeat after me, I state your name. I solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Pennsylvania. That I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth and the ordinances of Easton. That I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. I do further swear that I will uphold, obey, and enforce the law without consideration of a person's race, color, sex, religious creed, sexual orientation, age, national origin, ancestry, handicap, or physical disability. I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I knowingly a member of an organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States of America or of this Commonwealth, nor by force or violence deny other persons their rights under the Constitution of the United States or this Commonwealth. I do further swear that I will not so advocate, nor will I knowingly become a member of such organization during the period that I am a police officer in Easton. I would just like to thank the family and friends who are here tonight. As the chief said, this is a sacrifice that you make as well, and we wish these 4 members of the police department safe and return to you each night. As mayor, I can assure you that we will give them all of the equipment and tools they need to do their job safely. This brings us up to a current roster of 63 officers. We'll have that for a couple days yet. No, he already left? He already left. Okay, so we're down to 62. But we'll start hiring again, and I just want to wish you all the best. We have a police department that is bar none. As I started to do the state of the city just recently, about an hour ago, our police officers have made this community safe and clean, unlike it's been in the past. We have a bad reputation of being gritty, but I can assure you that it's a much different situation. When I was first elected, I remember the gangs, the gun violence, the homicides, and even the streetwalkers downtown. They're gone. They're gone because of the men and women of the Easton Police Department. And if you want to build up a city, the first thing you have to do is make it safe. And people will move back to your city. They'll live in their city. They'll raise their families in your city as long as you're safe. And these men and women do it well for us. So we thank them very much. If I can ever be of anything, just let me know. Anyone else like to say anything? Start with Mr. Brown.
Yes, I will also just echo what the mayor said. Welcome you aboard and your families for the time that allowed you to be here in the department. I wish you all well in your careers, and each and every one of you, I wish you the best.
Thank you, sir.
Just want to say welcome to the Lehigh Valley's best police department. I wish you all the very best in your careers.
We're not bragging, we're stating the fact.
That's right. That's right.
Mr. Ettinger?
Yes, just thank you for your service. Thank you to the families. And what my colleagues have said goes double for me.
Councilman Malone?
Thank you, Mayor. One thing I want to add, in addition to what my colleagues are saying, I thank you for choosing our department. You know, we all know there's a national crisis with recruit and retention of police officers, and I want to thank you from me personally and on behalf of my colleagues for picking the city of Easton for your career. So thank you so much.
Councilman Ruggles?
I want to say congratulations because I know that you've gone through a lot already. You know, it's not like you come in, we interview you, and all of a sudden we swear you in. I mean, I know that you've gone through a lot of training to get to this point, and I believe that training is very essential. And I know that in the future you'll see additional training that'll just keep coming at you, but that's only for your safety. And I congratulate you for what you've gone through so far, and I welcome you, and I wish you safety in the future.
Good. Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead, Mr. Campos.
And I know I welcomed you by shaking your hand. My name is Louis Campos. I'm the city administrator. So I work directly not only with the FOP, but ensuring that city employee benefits are maintained. And I want to tell you one thing that at the most recent collective bargaining agreement negotiations, we made sure that that the police department and especially our officers were properly paid. And I think, as you may know, we're one of the better paid departments probably in the area. And I'll tell you what, we have, if not the best, one of the best departments in terms of our facility in the Commonwealth. So we take law enforcement seriously. We value our employees, and that's the type of employer that you have. And I wanted you to hear that from me. So we support you. We're going to do as much as we can for you to keep current and to keep our salaries also competitive so you can stay here and retire here. And as the mayor said and the council members, continue to make our city thrive. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Chief, if you may. They want to stay for the meeting, they can stay.
I've already instructed them that following.
Oh, okay.
Them and their families were free to leave after. Unless they so choose.
You know, I'll go with you guys, actually.
Thank you also very much for all the kind words. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Okay, moving on with our public comment on agenda items only. At this time, there is time at the end of the meeting for continued comment from the public. We'll move on then. Consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Okay, bill number 35 was removed. That's going to be done under unfinished business. So we have bill number 1, which was introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2023 general fund budget. We have bill number 2. that was also introduced by Mr. Brown, and that would be amending the 2023 Recreation Fund budget. Bill number 3, introduced by Mr. Brown, which would also amend the 2023 Wastewater Fund budget. We have Bill number 4, that was introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2023 General Fund budget. Bill number 5, that was introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2023 Recreation Fund budget. Bill number 6, that was introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2023 Wastewater Fund budget. And Bill number 7, that was introduced by Mr. Brown, that would amend the 2023 Revolving Capital Fund budget. We also have a resolution approving a COA for the Northampton Street Gateway sign, and it would be on Northampton Street at 6th, extending from the east side, the north side to the south side. We have a resolution also approving a COA for 228-230 Northampton Street. A COA that would approving a COA, for 33 North 5th Street, and a resolution approving a COA for 533, 535 Northampton Street. There's a resolution approving an application for a small water and sewer program grant. Oops, hold on, I missed that one. In the amount of $145,000. We also have a resolution approving a third handicap parking space in the 1100 block of Ferry Street. We have a resolution that would approve a design agreement with Collier's Engineering, and it's for improvements for the MS4 improvements. And the total contract is for $47,500, with the city of Easton paying half of $23,750 and Williams Township paying the other half of $23,750. And we have a resolution authorizing the purchase of a new mobile hydraulic stage. I guess our bandwagon's seen its last legs.
Was born almost the year I was born.
We've only had it since 1959.
Like I said, it's only 8 years older, younger than me.
I move the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion?
I got it.
Go ahead.
I was hoping Mark would be here, but on bill number 1, okay, just so that I understand this, we have, I know that we had a reduction in our MMO, and in this, we're taking funds from a current budgeted item and moving them to a 151 account. My question is, one of those accounts that we're moving it from is the non-resident EIT. Can we do that? Because the non-resident EIT can only go to pensions. So on paper, we're moving money from an account that is supposed to only go to pensions and putting it into the 151 account. I mean, that's what I see anyway.
Okay, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for you right now.
The money that's collected from the non-resident EIT does go to the pension.
Yes.
But on paper, we're not saying that.
We're not saying that on
I
paper.
understand the optics of it.
I mean, I
And
understand.
I don't know if the math works like that. Then rather than just giving you an answer, I'd rather research it. Time is not of the essence on this particular budget item, so I can get back to you with an answer. I think it's a good question.
We've already approved it, so if it's not correct, we need to amend.
I agree with you.
I mean, that's okay, but I just didn't want us to be out there saying, hey, you move money from.
I agree with you. Those monies are restricted.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's, I have to take that question back with Mark.
Okay.
Can we just leave it go and then revote, and then just change it back in 2 weeks then?
We'll get a table. Right?
Yeah, like I said, time's not of the essence.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't have to move it either.
No.
All right, that's
no.
fine.
My point is, we already voted on it.
Yeah.
No, we haven't
now.
voted yet.
We have. Oh, no, we haven't.
Yeah,
To vote now.
we moved it and
We
seconded
moved
it.
it.
Well, what I was suggesting is we let it go, and then in 2 weeks we'll bring it back then.
That's fine. I
We
just
just table
didn't
it.
want us to be caught out there with.
Why don't we just table?
I think
Take it
No,
off.
it's just a hold.
Oh.
So you just
better
hold
off the table.
Yeah.
Better off the table.
But it's already moved and seconded though.
Right, yeah. That's,
Well, I think there's other ones in here that are associated, like bill number 7 has that same $505,681.
You know what, Roger, we could still, excuse me, Dr. Ruggles, we could still provide you that answer, and if it's an answer that's contrary to the act, then we could advise you to vote no against it.
Right.
And we could reintroduce it.
Okay,
That's fine.
that's fine.
Leave it
That-
go.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to,
I think it's actually fine.
okay,
Are we
Roll call.
taking a vote as a whole then?
as a whole.
As a
Roll
whole.
call.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
aye.
And Mayor Panto?
Aye. Reports of the committee, since there's no, reports to be received by council, we're going to reports of the committee, Vice Mayor Brown, Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. I only have one thing this evening, and that's bill number 8 under new business, and that's amending the health benefits for, this year. That's all I have right now.
Councilmember O'Connell, Economic Development.
Mayor, the GEDP's Economic Vitality Committee, of which I am a member, met last week on January 18th. We are creating programs aimed at business recruitment and business retention.
Okay, very good, excellent. Planning Committee is not, she's not here. Councilmember Ruggles, Public Safety.
I have no report tonight.
Councilman Eddinger, Public Works.
I have no report tonight.
Administration Committee, Councilman Milan.
Thank you, Mayor. Just last night, the administration committee met and we discussed the New England, is it hydrostatic or hydroelectric?
Hydro.
Just hydro.
Hydro.
Just hydro, lease, with the representative from Northampton County. And also, I believe in 2 weeks, I'd like to, bring to the table a memorandum of agreement with, Lance Wheeler. He had contacted me the other day that his MOA expired since we transferred the property. So he wanted to continue, his work on that property. So I was gonna bring that to the table in 2 weeks after the solicitor review it.
Who's preparing it?
I mean, I have a copy from the RDA, and I'll just give it to the solicitors to review then.
The one from the RDA was just limited to Christmas, mums and.
Right, so I'm
things
thinking
like that.
they can amend it then.
Okay.
And just for council's, I'm sorry, just for council edification, I did not attend the executive session, but I was well aware of what was taking place in speaking with Mr. Campos and also our solicitor. So,
Mr. Wheeler approached me, and I think we had talked about, a lease agreement.
Yeah, we
as
did.
opposed to
You and I talked to him when we were out there.
to an MOA. So are we saying that we're gonna forego the lease agreement?
Well, I mean, I can contact the solicitors, I can have them make the decision. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any benefit to having either one of them. I mean, it's your
Has
your
to be
call,
honest.
honestly.
Well, we'd have to discuss that with, obviously, Mr. Wheeler and see
Right.
I don't know what the MOA is.
I'll forward you the MOA then.
Sure,
You
we
can
can
look at it, and if you want, we can talk about it.
Certainly.
Yeah,
that's something we could look at and
I
discuss.
can't imagine it's gonna be that complicated.
Pros-
Just
I wouldn't
for-
think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll forward it to you then. If you wanna just call in tomorrow, you can then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Milan?
I have nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Report of City Solicitor, Mr. Clark.
Just to reiterate, there was an executive session held yesterday to discuss the lease option and issues with New England Hydro. Other than that, there's no report from the
Okay,
finance
thank you,
officers.
Mr. Clark. Report of the mayor, I just want to mention that we are suffering from the paradigm shift away from small businesses, and we have a situation where Fulton Bank on the south side is closing. It's the only bank left on the south side. We have the same situation on College Hill where there's no bank. And in the West Ward, all of our banks are closing in addition to the ones that we have, one that closed downtown, one that went to fully automation, and one that is considering closing. And so we are putting together a task force that's going to look solely at neighborhood service organizations. Small businesses. When I was growing up on the south side, we had, grocery stores on every corner, bars on every corner, dry cleaner, bakery, a gas station. We don't have any of them left. And there's no gas station on College Hill either. That's now the Wawa parking lot. So there's a paradigm shift that's occurring where small businesses aren't profitable enough for people to go into them in the neighborhoods. But we're going to put together some kind of a grant assistance and business plan to attract more. Now, in talking to Fulton Bank, they don't want to close their bank on the south side, but the landlord hasn't been overly cooperative in making the changes that are needed, especially in cleaning up the parking lot. But they are willing to have us look for another location. So I know that Mr. Harrison, who's developing the mill at Easton on Lincoln Street, is open. I tried to call him today, but he wasn't available. If we can get them over there in his new building, which he's building, we could build them with a drive-up window, which seems to be really almost a priority for any bank that's opening today. That's why Wells Fargo closed. However, she assured me that the drive-up window is not as important to her, that they are only looking for about 1,500 square feet. And if it has a drive-up window, great. If it doesn't, all the better. But as long as it has a place for an ATM machine. Again, that's the most important thing. Also, want to recognize that Barry Schaefer is a firefighter for 36 years. Lewis and I did attend his little get-together up at the fire station, Fire Central today. It was very nice. His words were very encouraging to the other firefighters. There were many young firefighters there, as we just hired so many of them. And also, last week when I was in Washington, D.C., I did stop at the Department of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and talk to them about our Choice Neighborhoods grant, which is between $30 and $50 million. Secretary Fudge was not in, but Secretary Fudge was in Easton. A few months ago, we met with her, and the reaction we got was favorable, was good, but we got an implementation grant. The COA that we just approved for the arch over Northampton Street is the identification. As you know, we have one for Southside, we have one for College Hill, but we don't have anything identifying the Westward neighborhood. So the arch will be, as you go through the arch, it'll say, welcome to the Westward. The other side will say, welcome to historic downtown Easton. So that's with a $50,000 grant that we received to do some planning and also an implementation grant. So the one thing we're looking forward to is getting the implementation grant turned into a full grant. We did get that with the Hope 6 grant. The Choice Neighborhoods is the same as what the Hope 6 was back in 2009 when we got that one. And basically it's to help revitalize the housing market in that neighborhood. And we did it in 2009, and it really changed the South Side because, as the chief is here, he could tell you that Delaware Terrace was a very active place for our police officers every day. So, and I believe that's the end of my report. So we'll move on to, go ahead.
Add one thing to your report?
Absolutely.
Last week, there were 2 ribbon cuttings for 2 new small businesses in Easton. One was Punch Out, which is a board game store, very family oriented. It's at 161 Northampton Street. And Saturday there was another one for Seth and Company, a coffee shop. This one was really unbelievable. The owners hire only special needs kids to staff the store. Both ribbon cuttings had tremendous turnout of people. There were probably 50 or 60 people at each one, and they were big successes. And we were glad to be part of it.
Mr. Campos.
I don't have a report, Mayor.
Okay. There's no correspondence. We'll move into unfinished business. Bill number 35.
We have bill number 35 that was introduced by Mr. Milan on December 14th, and it was regarding hours for the parking meters within the city of Easton.
Moved. Is it second?
Second.
Second discussion.
Mayor, I'd like to read something into the record, if you don't mind. This was the email that I think was forwarded to us by the police department by Marcus Gilbert, would have been last week, regarding street parking. In reference to the new proposed changes to meter hours, I think this is something that the city should think about waiting until after the public market garage and the few major construction projects coming in the next few years. Businesses are still recovering from COVID, then the circle construction and limited parking for outdoor dining. As the VP of the EBA, I have had the pleasure of chatting with many business owners, employees, and I know it's been really tough for many. Of course, meters and inflation are parts of living in the city. I just think waiting a bit longer would be more thoughtful of the downtown businesses as they recover from what has been a big dip in their numbers. And read it just for transparency. It's from Valerie Simmons. who would be the vice president of the Easton Business Association.
Do you
So,
still have that in an email?
I do actually.
If you could forward it to me, I
yeah.
don't think I kept that.
We all
That's fine.
got it.
Yeah,
Did you get a copy?
I sent it, but I,
You did.
once
Oh,
I
I
gave
thought
it to you,
so.
I don't think I kept it.
Oh,
So I guess my question is, I mean, is there, Louis, is there any need to push this right now? Can we hold off on it? I mean, what is,
well, I got Val's, email as well, but she's talking about retailers. And there's no retailers except for one. Duchess Cookies is open till 9 o'clock. No other retailer downtown that I know of is open till that late. They all close early.
right?
That's part of the problem. This is aimed at getting the restaurant goers who would get free restaurant. If you make an appointment after 8 o'clock, you get free parking.
Sure.
Whereas retailers are the ones that you've got to pay to get to the retailer.
Sure.
And so it's sort of like to balance it out between the restaurants and the retailers. The retailers have the yeoman's share of the parking meters that have to be paid. If you want to shop downtown during the day, you got to pay the meter. But if you want to go to dinner at night, you don't have to.
Right.
And so that was the reason, and it is in the budget. So I don't know what impact that has financially.
I mean, when is the parking garage going to be open? Do we know?
Well, right now we have a tentative date of about March 15th for final approval. So the elevators have been delivered. They're on site, and any other minor issue has been resolved as of last Friday. There were some minor construction issues. So that's the tentative date that we have right now.
So April 1, given weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is there an appetite to hold off on this till April 1, or do we just want to go ahead and just vote on it as is? I mean, I heard from somebody else at the public market where she asked if we could reconsider delaying this. I think she's the owner of Three Birds.
The thing about the public market, what cracks me up is that we've just done a beautiful upgrade in a circle, and they wanted a winter market in front of the public market.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to close down the 300 block Northampton Street on Saturday, which is I would assume is one of their busier days. So there's like double talk. We need to have one representative tell us what they want, because we're more than willing to work with the owners. I mean, that's the whole reason for the winter market, and many of the other things we're doing is one of the reasons why I didn't want the public market or the farmers market to go back down to the drive.
Is the public market open from 8 to 9?
No,
So it
In the
doesn't
morning?
impact them.
at night.
Well, I mean, at night?
Yeah, that's the only thing we're changing. is
I mean,
8
they
to 9
asked me.
o'clock.
I mean, she reached out to me.
I know, but I mean, it doesn't impact them. I don't understand why that would be a concern for
You
them.
can speak. Come on up to the podium. Ron, I don't want you to have to sit there. I know you, because we're going to vote on this, and then you're going to get up under public comment. I'd rather hear your comments now.
Ron Morris, owner of Mercantile Home, 140 Northampton Street, and the Mercantile Outpost inside the Easton Public Market, and I'm a resident at 1002 Washington Street. Again, I think, as I mentioned last time, I'm sure I certainly heard what Val said in her letter. The point that most people are making is not about.
I'm sorry, 1 second.
Sure.
Is Mrs. Sultana trying to call in? It's not going through. This number is 610-923-7417.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay. Okay. Again, I think that the biggest thing, as far as the market goes, Saturdays with the farmers market out in front, it is shocking, but it's not shocking. People do come in, so it expands the size of the
No,
farmers
I
market.
understand the reasoning.
Again, I don't. For me, I'm only going to speak for myself. It's not about the hours, because you're right. I'm not open until 9 o'clock. It's not directly affecting my customers. As a community member, it is an overall feeling with everything that's going on right now, that it's not being noticed, or it doesn't really matter whether it's noticed or not, that we are all feeling the impact from all of this. And this little bit of news in the public is one more thing that builds up on the overall feeling about downtown, that it's hard to get down there. Oh, and now they're raising the hours of the market, or sorry,
Changing it.
changing the hours of the meters. So again, I think that's the biggest thing is that, and so again, I think people asking about in terms of the garage is like, if it can come whenever we're getting some good news, which is that this garage that has taken forever and has drastically affected incomes in the market, it would be great if we didn't have this one other little thing at the same time. But, you know, again, I know there are budget concerns and all of those things. I think everyone knows that.
No,
But that's the overall feeling
budget
in the
concern
thing.
is not my concern as much as I would like to just get it back to the 9 to 9 the way it used to be and get over it. I mean, Allentown and Bethlehem have extended their hours beyond 9 o'clock. I'm just trying to get back to what it was. It's easier for people to understand 9 to 9 than it is 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then it gets 9 to 9 is easy. But
You know, Mr. Mayor, though, in terms of talking to
Oh,
a
oh.
community, which you do all the time,
Yeah.
the fact is nobody wants to hear, let's just get to 9 to 9 and get over it. When we're dealing with all of these other things that are little bits and pieces. It's all the, it's not going to affect most people, truthfully, that extra hour in the evening. But I do think it's just, people just want to be heard. And I think that's what the general vibe is that everyone's saying, which is the only reason I came back up.
Hold on. Mrs. Sultana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Rita. Thank you.
Okay.
You have a great store.
Thank you very
I
much.
do have one of the squirrels on my mantle.
I know you do.
And there's a couple other things.
And several other things.
All right,
I know. I see a hand for squirrels.
I'm not arguing in any position here, except I do want to just a clarifying point. The garage, post 5 o'clock, on the daily rate is 50 cents.
Right.
So that's the new garage next to your store in the market.
Yeah.
Will be 50 cents an hour.
Right.
Same as
For
ones
dealers,
are
which
now.
is which is
They all are.
well, they all are right now. They're not used at all. But next that one, I think
Yeah.
that 4th Street garage is going to be very nice for the market.
I 1,000% agree. We all can't wait. We're very excited.
The other thing that has to be realized here is that while the parking garage theoretically is coming on March 15th, this doesn't go into effect until March 1st because it's 30 days after we.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
we pass it, it doesn't go in effect for 30 days. So there might be a 2-week period between, or maybe 3-week period between when this would go into effect.
Sure.
And-
Just know that in terms of living here, we don't all believe necessarily that the 15th is really going to happen because
Well,
we've been through
yeah,
this a lot. So, heard, I get it, that's
have
the
the
plan,
same-
which is great.
we have the same
But,
concern.
yeah.
But we do believe the report we got on Friday is the best news we've heard to date because all the equipment is on site. So that means a lot.
Yeah.
The only thing that's still up in the air is the entrance to the back entrance to the public market. That still hasn't been resolved, $130,000 for that. They claim it was not in their contract even though they ripped it out. So anyway, we'll get through that, but that certainly won't take as long as what it did for the elevator to get here.
Well, again, I just wanted to clarify what I know I was hearing, which is why
I don't have a problem
continued
waiting
to show
till the
up, is that
second
it's
quarter.
not so much about the hours, it's really about the
I mean, it's
perception.
not that much. I mean, I don't have a problem waiting until the second quarter. If that's what you're asking for. I mean, I worry about retailers more than restaurants. Restaurants are busy, and there's thousands of people coming downtown every weekend and weekdays, nights for restaurants. What we don't have is the meters. I think are much more of a deterrent to the retailers, and I worry about them. And when I saw Val, and I didn't call her up on this one yet, but my concern was there's no retailers open. I wish they were open until 9 o'clock, but they're not.
Yeah.
And
there's not
there's
business.
thousands of people come downtown every weekend, especially if they just sort of go back to opening Fridays till 9,
Right.
like we used to be when I was a kid. That would be helpful. But the only one I see is Duchess Cookies,
Yeah.
and they're looking for people who are eating dinner and then deciding that they're just going to have dessert and coffee right there.
Yeah. Well, and again, I am certainly not the one here to debate meters because I really don't care, to be quite honest. I understand, and it's a part of living in the city. For me, it's really about when I started hearing from customers that this was the sort of overall vibe of things, and they're my regular people who I know love Easton, it started to be of concern to me, and I think that's at the heart of us, and we just need to be careful about it because otherwise it seems like we're not listening.
Dr. Ruggles. So,
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we table this until the second meeting in February.
I'll second that.
Dr. Ruggles, as an alternative to that, if you wanted to, you could just set a different effective date
What's that?
You could just set a different effective date. Our standard is 30 days, but it could be, if you
No,
want
no,
to make an
but I'm
effective date
saying
of.
if we table this till the second meeting in February,
Then you got 30 days.
and we vote on it then.
Right.
It won't go into effect for another 30 days,
Correct,
which would put us
End of March.
end of March,
Perfect.
right.
okay? They give us a buffer. So if we,
Oh.
if we just table it for
Same ends,
4 weeks.
different means.
I was just giving you a different way to
Same ends,
accomplish the
different
same goal.
means.
You could say, instead of tabling it and then having to vote on it again later and bring it up later, you could just vote on it right now and say it's effective 60 days from
If
today.
I'm not wrong, are we discussing the meter extension for?
Yes,
So,
What you say?
Well, we'd have to
Hello?
integrate that into the motion,
I didn't hear what she said.
or,
well, it's an amendment.
you would amend it and that wouldn't be a substantial change that would require reintroduction and things. If council wished, you could just amend the change to say that it's amend.
Bill number
I-
35 to
I would
Correct.
say
actually, I'd
becomes
rather,
effective at April 1st.
That's
correct.
I would actually rather have it tabled.
Okay.
And the reason I would rather have it tabled is we're showing that we are putting it off as requested, okay? If we vote on it tonight, we've passed it.
Right.
But the
Okay.
effective date's April 1st, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we table it, we bring it back to the table in 2 weeks.
No, 4 weeks.
Right, but if we just, to what Mr. Clark just said, if we just amend it now and say effective April 1st, it's the same effect. I mean, it's already on the table now.
It's the same effect, but
Right.
it's a different message that's sent.
It
is
does.
that
It
Different
does.
perception.
You
It
have
does. It
postponed
does.
as
Yeah.
people have requested.
Yeah.
I would suggest this to delay it
Okay.
for 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. That's fine.
Right.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what we're doing.
Mrs.
Well,
Mrs.
we have-
Sultana, did you want to say something? Mrs. Sultana? Did you ask for the
Yes,
floor?
can we do, yes, no, I'm just talking about the bill. Can we delay this bill for 6 to 8 weeks? Can we table this for later?
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to, what Dr. Ruggles is suggesting is tabling it. So the vote will be, well, we don't need a vote on
No,
table.
yeah, we-
No.
No.
Just bring it back off the table.
Just bring it off, we don't need, we need a vote to bring it off the table.
That's
We don't
it.
need a vote to put it on the table.
Well, we'll need a vote to bring it back to the
Right,
table.
but that's
Correct.
all, yeah. Okay, so then we'll go on to, is there any other discussion or comments on bill number 35?
What exactly are we doing? Just
Table
like-
it. Tabling
just
it.
Taylor
Table.
pulling it off.
It is
Second.
now tabled.
Second meeting in February.
It's tabled date certain. Okay,
So February 22nd is when it's going to come back.
Yes, it would have to be voted to be brought off
Brought
the
back.
table and
Right.
presented, right, at that meeting, or at any meeting council so chooses.
okay, we're done with that unfinished business. New business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, we have bill number eight that's being introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2022 Health Benefits Fund budget.
Introduce.
Introduced. So now we're at public comment. On any item, concern, question about the city of Easton, anyone like to address city council? Mr. Pinnabone?
Good evening. Mayor, you mentioned today.
Could I have your address, please?
I'm sorry, 1107 West Berwick Street.
Thank you.
Mayor, you brought up Fulton Bank closing on South Side. And although they're saying they're willing to find another location, I encourage you to do what you can to keep them on South Side. We have a lot of elderly people that can't get downtown, and that bank closing on South Side would really hurt the community. I spoke for a good amount of time with the owner of the property, Mr. Joseph. He feels there's a disconnect with him and Fulton Bank. He's willing to do whatever to make them happy to keep him there. What I would like to do is forward the email to you, and you and your staff can maybe have a sit down with the powers at Fulton and with the owner. They're starting land clearing on the side of the dollar store to clean all that up. I think they could come to some type of agreement to where Fulton Bank will stay there, because we really need him to stay there.
I met with Mr. Joseph several months ago, and I understand his concerns. I think in talking to Fulton Bank today, I think the concerns is the property itself is too big for the amount of business they do. They're only looking for about 1,500 square feet. They were going to go into where Magistrate Kapoor is, but they were too late in getting there. But they were looking to move a long time ago. I think I think we can find him a place. They would love to be on Philadelphia Road. They want,
Well, whatever you decide, if we can keep him on South Side, but he's willing to do something with the rent, redo the pavement, and
Good.
whatever else they would like to
All
try
right.
to keep him there. So,
I know he was interested in putting residences there, 61 houses.
Right.
And we talked about that, and we're going to talk to him again about affordable housing there. But, yeah, we'll talk to,
I'll pass it to you, and you and your team could set that up.
okay?
Thank
Sounds
you.
great, thank you. Anyone else like to address city council? You just came for the entertainment? Wow. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment unless there's anything else city council would like to bring up.
So move.
Second?
So moved in second for adjournment discussion. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mayor Pianto?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Huh?
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan? Good night, everyone.
No.